Alright, so this is DR20. Alright, in this video we're going to start to define the right hand side of the dragon. So a couple things to note. If you look at your drawing, you'll see some straps here and here, and this is kind of like armor for the dragon, which I don't really care about at the moment. And the reason I don't care about it is because if you look at your drawing, for example, the saddle actually has some height to it. You can see that it's above whatever this armor is, and his body is sitting on it. So we have to define it, and it has to be defined with some depth. But this armor, although it will be totally defined with some depth, it will be very little depth, and that's all that's required to get it fully in there and fully recognizable as there. But we just don't need to do it at the moment, so we don't really need to leave a place for it or cut a place for it at the moment. So the straps are the same. These straps are different, and the reason they're different is because they're literally not touching the dragon's neck in some places. So it starts touching around here somewhere, maybe around here somewhere, going forward. But over here, they're not touching. So we either have to make it appear as if it's not touching, or actually remove them from underneath. So we can do that later on. But these guys are touching the entire way. Every part of the dragon is touching, so we can cut them in later and have no problems doing so. These straps, same. So we're not going to worry about them at the moment. So what we will work with here is we'll cut along that strap line, which on your drawing you'll see is also the wing. So we're going to cut that in there. We'll put a small stop cut in there, and we'll start from that armor, and we'll cut into the open area we already have. So once we cut that in, and that can be a fairly deep cut, you know, maybe 2/8 of an inch, or is that a 1/4 inch or so? But you know, cutting a 1/4 inch is pretty tough, so just cut in there, you'll be fine. It'll go deeper at some point. Now, again, don't worry about the strap. We do want to cut, basically, we're going to just make note of this armor. And the reason we're going to make note of it is because a lot of our wing definition starts from here. So we'll start cutting there. We don't have to cut it out, as I stated before, but we do want to note that area because a lot of the wing starts from there. This is part of the shoulder as well, as you can see from your drawing. So we'll start to make a swooping cut here from that armor area. Okay, also make note of your talon area and the bone for the wing. So just make sure that you have that line in there. That line will also help you when you're trying to cut in the swoop for the inner side of the wing. Now, the wing itself here stays again like the other one. It is moving forward in addition to having this swoop. And the swoop again from here too. Now this is kind of ugly here, but this is basically the outside of the wing, and there is a rigid stronger area of the wing here, and this is like the bony section of that wing in the center. So we'll cut out in the middle of there. Like that. So that's fine for now. We do need to push the wing forward like we did here, and we need to clean this up for the most part, but we also need to define the leg. Now before we start cutting the underbelly, we need to follow our lines, initial lines, which are here and here. So this line separates, basically the thigh or rump from the foreleg, which is here, or the forethigh, and we have this area, which is like the inner belly, the belly of the creature here. So we can round all of that, but before we do that, we really should define his rear rump region. Now by doing that, we're able to cut underneath. Now this is my actual line, having left extra, and this is good here. Pardon me. So what we'll do is, first I'm going to cut off all this extra stuff because I don't need it now. Well, man, that's not true. I suppose I can cut off a little bit of it, that much around the outside. This is obviously far too much, so I cut it a little closer to my line, and then we're going to cut it inward. But it doesn't really make sense to help you with that until I've actually cleaned that up so that we can look at it properly. Right, so do this part, and you can, if you like, bring the upper shoulder to approximately where his leg is, but don't go too far. Unless you think you know what you're doing, go for it, and that's totally fine. I mean, I don't want to sound like I have to teach you. If you're getting it, go for it. Otherwise, check back.